Am I the a-hole for letting my pregnant daughter move in with me even though my girlfriend doesn't want her to? I 40M have an 18-year-old daughter with my ex-wife, call her Maddie. We divorced when she was 7, and I have her 3 weekends a month. Her mom moved to a suburb almost an hour outside the city to be closer to her family and for a better school. My work was in the city, and after a while Maddie got sick of all the driving and asked if we could go to a different schedule. We talk most days on the phone, and I have been very involved in her life. She's a great student, graduated with over a 4.0, has a lot of friends and what I thought. Very nice boyfriend. She has no idea what she wants to do with her life, and had already decided to defer her scholarship a year to take classes at the community college and work. I also have a girlfriend, Vera, 37, and she gets along with Maddie great. We've been together about 2 years, and she just moved into my house a few months ago at it. Her old roommate got married, and she couldn't afford rent alone. We'd been together almost 2 years, and I was considering proposing, so it seemed like a good idea after she couldn't find another place. She pays the electric and water bills, but my house is paid off, so I just pay taxes, insurance, and the other utilities, and it's been great. I didn't really date much the past few years between Maddie and work, so it's nice having someone always around. Vera doesn't want kids of her own, and I don't want any more, so it's been great. So for all that, Maddie is pregnant and her mom has kicked her out. Her boyfriend has another year left of nursing school and lives in a college apartment with roommates. She is of course staying here for now and found out late she's due in January. She and her boyfriend went over the options and decided to keep the baby. She told me very meekly and asked if she could stay. I told her of course she knows this is disappointing, but she'll never stop being my baby, and if this is what's going to happen, I'm here to support her within reason. As in, I'm fine babysitting if she has work or class, and she will keep working and going to school, but I'm not babysitting for her to party or hang out with friends. If the boyfriend bails, which I was as kind as I could be but told her happens even with the nicest boys, she would need to file child support. And I would give her grace before and after birth. But when she's recovered, she will go back to doing chores on top of baby ones. I told her and the boyfriend to sleep on it, and they did and came back with actual thoughtful responses, and even a budget goal that I found impressive. So, the tiny bedroom next to Maddie's that is currently home to a treadmill I never use is going to be a nursery. Of course I've kept Vera in the loop during all of this edit, and by this I mean I don't know how many different ways I need to put this so it gets through people's heads. Vera and I discussed all of this before I talked to the kids. In depth. I made her very aware that the 3 of them could end up living here for a few years. She was supportive. I kept her in the loop. When them living here became the plan, she gave me an ultimatum and told me to kick my daughter out because she's an adult. I told her I wouldn't do that. She is still here and making everyone uncomfortable. And she seemed really understanding until I told her the plan. She got upset and said if she wanted to raise a baby, she'd have one of her own. She said she didn't sign up for this and is not okay with it, and demanded I rescind the offer, that Maddie is 18 and needs to figure it out on her own if she wants to keep the baby. I told her I wouldn't do that. She'll always be my daughter and needs help. She threatened to move out if I didn't tell Maddie to get out, then got mad that I told her I understood. Now she's avoiding the both of us but still staying here or being snippy. I don't know what she expects me to do, but it's making the entire house anxious. Edit. Stop saying that Vera would be shocked that Maddie moved in. This is Maddie's home. She's always lived here. Yes, the rest is a surprise, but not my daughter living in her home. 18 is barely an adult, and actual adults who think 18 is a proper age to be 100% on your own are a problem. Good job still being willing to be a parent to your child when she needs you. Not the a-hole. Time to tell you GF she can do what's best for her, but your daughter will probably be here for 3 to 4 years. Let her know you want her to stay, but your life will change. OP replies, that's what I told her. She's not happy about it and being rude to me. Next story. Am I the a-hole for wanting to break up with my BF because of his niece? My BF 33 has a niece 10 years old who he has been helping raise since she was 6 months. I was told her mom and dad were not involved. When we first decided to get serious, I knew about his niece and his role in her life, but did not realize the extent of his role. When I first met her, she was a nice kid, but the second time I met her, it was terrible. We went to the aquarium and she wanted an ice cream, so when we sat down so she could eat, my BF shared a funny video with me from his phone. After watching it and laughing and talking about the video, I turned and looked at his niece, and she had thrown her ice cream down on the table and was crying. He then asked her what's wrong, and she proceeded to look at me and then back at him. Right then I knew this would be trouble. After he calmed her down, he basically ignored me the rest of the time to keep her happy. She had started crying because he showed me a video and not her and felt left out. After we dropped her off, he tried to apologize and I told him I was left feeling uncomfortable. I felt like I was a bother to them, something like a third wheel. He told me he was just trying to make the rest of her time there happy for her. I ended up letting it go but told him he needed to talk to her and let her know I wasn't going anywhere. He agreed. Fast forward months later, my BF and I planned a trip out of town so he could race in a running marathon. He then proceeded to tell me that his niece wanted to come. I asked if that was a good idea since I hadn't seen her since the aquarium issue. He said he talked to her and just wanted to have a good weekend. I agreed and decided to give her another chance. We picked her up that morning of the trip and not even an hour into it, she was already crying. She cried mostly all day, so his attention was of course on her. I tried to be sympathetic and let him do his thing, but noticed any time he showed me any attention, she would start crying. I bought us tickets to watch a movie she kept asking for, and she cried not wanting to watch it when we got there. Then nighttime came, and she had agreed to sleep on her own bed, but then when she saw my BF lay down next to me, the waterworks started and she did not want him laying with me. He then jokingly told me, "Hey, I'm gonna sleep with Crybaby in her bed, okay?" I was fuming because I know it was intentional. She was literally just sitting there fine until she saw me and him together. Then I was fuming because instead of talking to her, he gave in. The next day, we were at the mall and him and her were holding hands walking in front of me, basically leaving me out while they chit-chatted and enjoyed each other. By the end of the day, my BF said, "What's wrong? You've barely spoken a word to me?" As if I could. Then later on, when he was finally talking to me, showing me attention, his niece kept interrupting us. I knew once again what she was doing. It is the end of the trip now, and after replaying everything in my head, I want to end this. However, I know he's going to try and throw it in my face that she's a little girl who has abandonment issues and is just scared of losing him. I understand that, however, I don't agree with how she's being brought up. I don't feel she should be getting her way every time she cries for something. Am I harsh? Does that make me the a-hole? Not the a-hole. It sucks because he's failing his niece more than anything by enabling her and not setting boundaries. There are ways to include her without excluding you, and your BF can't seem to understand that. Honestly, it wouldn't be worth it to me to stay to try to figure it out. Life is short. Your relationship isn't going to work out if she can't even peacefully be around you. You can't wait for her to grow up and move out before having any kind of future with your boyfriend. Don't listen to the comments saying you're jealous of a kid. You clearly aren't and are frustrated by her actions that target you. Not the a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for distancing myself from my friend after his wife called my wife fat? My wife is not fat, but she has gained weight after she delivered our son, and she's still not fat or obese. She used to be skinny, and we both think that it is actually a blessing that she has gained some weight. A month ago, my wife and me went to dinner with my friend and his wife. We didn't see them in a long time, almost 2 years. He lives in a different country because of his job, and after they came back, we planned for dinner. We were enjoying our discussing about our old days, but his wife suddenly said that my wife has become fat, and they are going to stay in our city for a few months, and she will hit gym and asked my wife to join her. My wife said that she doesn't want to hit gym yet, but she said if my wife doesn't hit gym, she will gain even more weight and probably turn obese. I interrupted her and said that my wife is not fat, and if she gave birth and if she was in my wife's place, she would understand. Our little get-together didn't go well as we were expecting. I was offended and didn't talk to him since last month, and I decided to distance myself from him and his wife. He contacted me and asked me if I took offense with how things went last time. I didn't reply back to him yet, but I want to maintain distance between us and possibly even cut him and his wife off forever. Not the a-hole, of course I took offense, and so did my wife. Your wife was incredibly rude to my wife, and instead of apologizing, your wife doubled down after we challenged her. I have no desire to ever be in your wife's company again, as she was judgmental and insulting towards a new mother. Those are not qualities I want in my life. Not the a-hole. You went 2 years without them, and you can go 200 more. Next story. Would I be the a-hole if I left my long-distance fiancé after finding out the size of her breast enlargement in person? The title makes me sound shallow, but I have to elaborate. I 30M have been seeing Eliza 31F for 2 years, and we got engaged a year ago before I moved away for a year-long job assignment. I fly back every couple of weeks for a week at a time. Sometimes more, sometimes less. Eliza and I had some shared goals, and one of them was saving up to purchase a house, which is why this job assignment was a good gig for me. It put me at about 50% of the way of my $50,000 goal towards the down payment. 3 months ago, Eliza said she was going into surgery to get some cosmetic work done. I knew she was always a little insecure about her breasts and wanted some work done, but I wasn't aware she was doing it so soon. As soon as I could take off, I came for a week and helped her recover. Eliza insisted that her mom help her with the bandages, so I didn't really see her naked breasts besides that they were prominent under her robe and bandages. It kinda concerned me at the time, but I thought maybe it could also be swelling and inflammation. Well, a couple of days ago I came back. Eliza and I got dinner in a hotel room to celebrate our reunion, and she went big. I'm not sure how she convinced the surgeon, but she went from like a B to a DD, ig. They're big. The scars are also angry and prominent, and it looks stretched and unnatural. I asked how much they cost, and she said an eye-watering $10,000. I asked how much she has saved towards the house down payment, and she says $5,000. That night, after a romp where I imagined that she had her old breasts, I came to think I'm not happy with how this played out. I don't want to make her feel bad about her new body, but I honestly am deeply unattracted to the changes she's made. Further, I don't feel like we're financially aligned. I want to say my priorities have changed and I want to move on. Would I be the a-hole? I would do my absolute best to preserve Eliza's feelings during the breakup. I am glad that you are going to try to preserve her feelings, and I like what you said about my priorities have changed. I think that's a nicer way to end things then. You're no longer attractive to me. I think the red flag is that y'all are engaged and she 1 spent a significant amount of money and 2 got plastic surgery without the 2 of you discussing in detail. Doesn't mean she needed your permission, but I think that is something that 2 who are engaged would discuss in detail before moving forward. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not making sure my niece got on the plane home? My cousin's wedding was yesterday. Early this morning, we all left on our flights back home. Several of us had the same flights back. We had standby seats though, so we had to wait to the end to board. We also had 1 layover. We all got on the first flight, no problem. Second flight, everyone got on except my sister's daughter, Rachel F18. We didn't find out until we all got off the flight that she didn't get on, and there were a bunch of texts from her saying she didn't know what to do. So her parents were all trying to figure out what to do, but the next flight in isn't until tomorrow, and they can't get her a hotel room because they require someone older to check in. So she's stuck alone in the airport terminal until the next flight. My sister Rachel's mom and dad think it's my fault because I was the last one called to board the plane. They think that I should have gone up and offered to let her have my seat first since she is basically still a kid and hasn't traveled on her own before. TBH, I didn't even notice her there or who was left because I wasn't feeling great because I was hungover from the wedding. So I had my eyes closed the whole time and was just listening for my name and not really paying attention to who else had already been called. They all knew I was feeling bad too because they were making fun of me for it earlier. Still, they think I should have noticed that Rachel was still sitting there alone, but at the time I just wanted to quickly get to my seat so I could sit down and close my eyes. Also, they're mad because they think that I had even confirmed that Rachel got on because when I passed by my sister and nephew's aisle, she asked, "All good?" And I gave her a thumbs up. I thought she was just asking if I was feeling okay, not asking if Rachel also got on. I kind of wonder why I ended up being the one responsible for her just because I was the last one there. Which I asked them about because any of them could have asked if Rachel could take their seat first, but they said no because they all had work the next day while I didn't. Edit. I should probably clarify that her mom, my sister, was on the flight, but her dad, my brother-in-law, was not on the flight. My other sister and our cousin, and Rachel's 2 underage siblings were also on the flight. Her parents were on the plane, and they didn't make sure she was? And they are looking for somewhere to point an accusing finger? Not the a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for asking my mom why I should go see her stepkids when she ignored me for them so many times while I lived with her? My parents got divorced when I 19M was 4. They split custody of me, and I had a good relationship with both until I was 11. That's when my mom started dating her husband and when she became one-track-minded when his kids were around. They were years younger than me, and he was their sole parent, so mom used that as an excuse. But it was hurtful, and my mom promised she'd do better, but she didn't. There are a few incidents that come to mind where this was super clear. Mom's stepkids wanted new toys, so mom took them shopping and told me to tag along. I asked her while we were on the way if I could drop by a gaming store, and she didn't answer. I asked her when we got to the mall, and she ignored me again. She didn't talk to me at all while we were at the mall, and when I told her I was going to the gaming store and I'd be back, one of the stepkids started screaming that they wanted me to stay, so mom stopped me going. When we got back to her house, she told me we went for her stepkids, not for me, and I spoiled it by upsetting them. Another time we went through a drive-thru and it was busted, so mom left us in the car and went inside for food. She didn't get what I actually asked for and shrugged it off when I told her she got me the wrong order. When I was grumpy about it that night, she told me she hadn't time to go back and the kids needed to get home, and I was making a big deal out of nothing. I told her she went back in because one of her stepkids got the wrong drink, and she told me it was different because he was little. She was supposed to meet me at the climbing gym for us time. She was late, so I called and texted. No answer. I waited for an hour 40 before I called Dad and asked him to drop me off at Mom's place. She wasn't home, but neither were the kids. 2 hours after I got back, she came home with the kids, and she said nothing while the kids were up, so I yelled at her. Then when she got the kids in bed, she yelled at me for yelling at her, and she took away my phone for not being more understanding and yelling, and for saying F her stepkids. Last one for this post because I don't want to keep you here all day. But her and her husband took us out for a family day. She spent that whole day doing stuff with her stepkids and shrugged off my hand when I tried to get her to listen to me because I was asking her to do something with me. I walked back to the car when I realized that was going to be the rest of the day. Nobody came to get me. But that night, she told me her stepkids got upset because they wanted to do some things with me and I was gone. I told her she ignored me and she said she had younger kids to pay attention to. I told her all she cared about was them and she told me I didn't care about them at all. And I asked her why would I. She said I acted like I needed her attention 24/7 when I was plenty old enough to not get jealous. This kind of stuff happened a lot. And like I said, Mom told me she'd fix it, but she never did. I hated her for it and I resented her stepkids. And she pretty much helped me decide I would never want to be part of one as an adult. I don't want stepkids or to give my future kids a stepmom if I find myself in that position. She called a few times and asked me to visit her stepkids, but ended the call when I said no. Then she called me again about a week ago and told me her stepkids miss their big brother and when am I visiting. I said never, and she told me I need to because I'm their brother and they love me. I asked her why I should see them when she ignored me for them so many times when I lived there. She said it wasn't their fault, and I told her I didn't give a crap about her stepkids. She called more times and I didn't answer, and she'd text and I'd ask her the same question every time. She told me I'm not making her want to spend time with me, and I told her she wasn't making me want to spend time with her stepkids. I get my responses might be petty and it's not the kids' fault, but I don't want a relationship with them. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Tell her in no uncertain terms that if her stepkids are sad and miss their big brother, it is the direct result of her utter failure as a mother. Let her know how despicable she is for throwing you away, and that it defines who she is as a person. That's why her precious stepkids will also despise her one day too. OP replies, I told her and she just said I'm not supposed to take it out on them. So she doesn't even care about me even when I point out why. She's just shaming me for hurting them. I hope you guys like this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share, and subscribe the channel our posts.